So welcome again, and thank you so much for either joining me today live or for listening to this recording wherever you are. Today's workshop is going to be about autoimmune and chronic conditions. Before we start, I just want to highlight again that you might notice that English is not my first language, and I'm pretty sure that my PowerPoint is not maybe perfectly correct in terms of grammar and everything. So you will forgive me about that. I'll do my best. And later on, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything that you might have for me. So let's get started. So this is the outline for today's workshop. It's going to be about 90 minutes, and I'm just going to briefly share who am I and who is giving you and providing you with this information and this message. I'll shortly explain what is MAP and how does it work. I will explain how MAP can help and can it actually help with autoimmune and chronic conditions. I'll talk about a little bit of the research that I did, and I'll share some of the stories. Like I said, we will do a short group session. I'll tell you what is next, and then I'll be happy to and answer any questions that you might have for me. So let's go. Before we start with anything, I just want to share something really important with you that the method that I'm going to talk about, the MAP method, anything that you will see today, anything that you will hear today, it's not intended to diagnose, prescribe, treat, or cure any disease or mental condition. And the most important part, I guess, is that the stories shared during this workshop are research and program participants' personal insights, which are really valuable, but they're not a replacement for any kind of medical advice. So who am I? You saw me at the beginning of this workshop. I know you cannot see me now, but here's my beautiful picture. My name is Jelena Katićević, and I'm from Croatia. I'm in my 30s. I've been MAP trainer for the MAP Coaching Institute and head coach, and I've been certified in July 2018. And so far, I run, I think, about 20 something certification classes. I have couple of signature programs for the institute. I did thousands single and group sessions, but I'm also finishing my master's in psychology. I done the certification in trauma education from Vessel, also certification in HeartMath, and I'm also an avatar. I'm pursuing another certification that I might talk about next time when we meet, but this is briefly it. And I just wanted to let you know who I am and who will be sharing some insights and some stories with you for the next couple of, I guess, minutes. I know we have a lot of practitioners here and coaches, and you might done Colette's workshop or you are sent from another coach. And I just briefly want to tell you what MAP is and how does it work. And if you ask my students and my practitioners, they would usually tell you there are two aspects of what MAP is. The first aspect is the aspect of spiritual work, energy work, where we are all connected, right? We're all one, and we have the ability to heal ourselves. But if you look at it from the scientific approach, what MAP is relatively young method, but it is a cutting edge method validated by neuroscience. And it's really providing measurable results in the brain within the minutes. And if you go on our website, you'll see a couple of researches that we did based on participants, some ratings, subjective unit of measurement on how they felt before they started with the session and how they felt afterwards. And during those experiences, they were able to overcome stress, anxiety, really deep past traumas, negative emotions, some kind of limiting beliefs, and self-sabotaging behaviors in a really fast, gentle, and easy way. And I'll show you a little bit later how we will do that. The main part of MAP and what MAP is something that we call the window of reconsolidation. It is brain's natural ability to heal itself just by giving it simple instructions. And if you don't mind, I just want to tell you how did I end up using MAP and focusing on the body-mind connection. My story with MAP is one of the miracles, I guess, that we experience once in a lifetime, right? In 2014, I had a car accident, and I was in my 20s, and that left me semi-paralyzed, 24/7, in pain. I was suicidal because nothing was helping, and instead of, enjoying life and traveling and having fun with then my boyfriend and now husband, my life was doomed. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't do anything, and nothing was helping. And then by accident, nothing is by accident, right? I met Colette on Instagram, and she was talking about this method being really amazing, and it can help you and it can heal you. And I was like, yeah, right, show me the proof of that. And she was so kind to give me a session on something that was really deep for me. And in less than an hour, I felt like someone removed curtains in front of me. And I signed up for one of the Colette's programs. I started to work for the Institute as their virtual assistant. That helped me, to heal even more and more with each meeting. Pretty soon, I really wanted to get certified so I can help myself, but um, the universe guided me in a different direction. And I ended up working a lot for the Institute and testing where MAP can help. And I was really inspired in my own journey because my body literally healed and none of them knew what happened. Like doctors were really puzzled. They didn't know what happened because from someone who was bedridden to someone who was full of energy and working and finally exercising and having fun, they didn't know how that happened. And, since I was teaching for the Institute, I met a lot of different students. And one of the students, my dear friend Debbie, asked me if I could help her with her autoimmune conditions. I will talk a little bit later about Debbie. So Debbie inspired me to do research in June 2020. And the funny part was that it was supposed to be a bunch of group and single sessions, but I couldn't find the time for doing those sessions. And that's how I created my first subliminal. If you're a coach or a therapist or healer and you have your own work, maybe you sometimes feel that, when you are listening to other people's work, that you feel inspired and you're more engaged consciously versus processing. So that's how I got the idea. Why wouldn't I put a map session in a subliminal format? And that's how I did a research on how healing emotional trauma can help the physical body release autoimmune and chronic conditions. And the only commitment participants had was listening to one single subliminal recording for 30 days. First, I had 10 people, and I didn't expect anything. And miracles happened in those 30 days. And then after 30 days, Colette inspired me to go even bigger. So we invited different friends, family members and clients, people who were not familiar with MAP at all, to join the research. And I ended up having more than 100 participants. And the most amazing part is that 93% of them had a really significant improvement in their symptoms in the first 30 days, which was something that I did not expect and I didn't intend. And that really inspired me to start research and to study Sarno and Mate and Dispenza and Bessel and all those people who were talking about the connection between the body and mind, and everyone who were talking about how traumas can influence the physical body. And later that year, November 2020, I created the program that I'm going to share a little bit later about when the body says yes. And so far, in 4 years, more than 3,000 people tested it. And for me, the best part from all of it is that I really, really like playing and researching and exploring different aspects of it. So when the Body Says Yes program inspired me to do research and programs around ancestral and generation traumas, around unmet childhood core needs, body positivity, OCD, and most recently, emotional and physical weight. So if you think about what does the mind have to do with the body and the creation of a disease, that was the most interesting part for me. And I just want to talk a little bit about, what the mind has to do with it and how we create a disease. And just to summarize this in a couple of sentences, I place it on this PowerPoint that you can see. And if you think about it, that our thoughts are the byproduct of the state in which our nervous system is. And it really took me a while to figure that out and to understand how is that actually connected. There's a whole science behind it. And the body and the brain communicate primarily through the vagus nerve, with sensory neurons sending signals from the body to the brain. And this communication makes about 80% of the total interaction. And then while the brain to body communication is roughly about 20%. So we can see that the body to brain communication is predominant, right? So you can imagine it as a highway, right? But it's not equal because, like I said, 80% goes from body to the brain, and then from brain to the body, it goes about 20%. And this dynamic means that the narratives and thoughts we hold are directly influenced by our bodily state. And why is this important? Because positive thinking and affirmations won't have a significant impact in our psychology if our psychology is not being addressed, if our traumas are not being addressed. And if we're still in a state of flight and fight, if our nervous system is not calm and it's all overstimulated, then simply thinking positively will not help. And your nervous system, your whole psychology needs to renegotiate and experience against safety. And if you are not safe, if your body is not experiencing that, you're in the same loop all over again. You're being overstimulated. You're being overwhelmed. You keep experiencing different sensations within the body. Even the smallest trigger is something that you can feel inside of yourself. And this is why the traditional medicine and maybe some other methods can sometimes fall short. Simple thinking positively or using affirmations won't create a sense of safety in our body. And later on, I will dive a little bit deeper into this topic and explore how we can better align our mind and body to heal whatever is there. And if you remember at the beginning, I mentioned that I'm such a sucker for researches and diving deeper. And if you really love science, and you can see on the left side some numbers of the researches that I use for this PowerPoint. And I just want to talk about two aspects of emotional and physical pain and how they correlate. So first we have the body systems, and you know what the body systems are, right? And then emotions or mind, however you want to call it. So the first part I want to talk about is the body systems. And I'm sure you heard about the stress generalized adaptation system. It is the experience that all of us have. It's just our body natural experience when something happens. And we have two phases. First phase is alarm reaction phase, and it is connected with the sympathetic nervous system. And this is where your body and where you receive a stress or something happens to you, right? And then it is our body's natural state where it triggers the flight or fight response. And your heart rate might elevate your hormones like adrenaline and cortisol are being triggered. You're in this fight and flight mode, and you can really feel all of it through your body, right? And then what happens in normal correlation with them and how they operate, once everything calms down, your parasympathetic nervous system is being triggered. And some people call it rest and digest, which means that after you experience something really emotional and something triggering, your parasympathetic nervous system is being triggered. It is trying to adapt to the ongoing stress. It is maintaining and balancing the hormones. Your heart rate goes down, and you feel more relaxed. You feel like you're smoothing your experience down. But what happens when they do not work sufficiently? And that's when the whole story about how the body and mind are connected and how we process things through our body. So if you remember from the previous slide, we have phase one, alarm reaction phase, where something happens and everything is being triggered. We're in this fight and flight mode. And then when everything calms down, we go into phase two, which is rest and digest. Everything is calming down, right? But when you are in the state of phase one for a really, really long time, and when you do not know how to calm your nervous system, or when life simply kicks in, right, and you keep experiencing trauma after trauma, emotion event after emotion event, you skip phase two. There's no rest and digest anymore. You go in phase three, which is stage of exhaustion, which means that you are in this prolonged stress or resource depletion, which means that you did not have a chance to rest and digest, and your body keeps being overwhelmed with different experiences, with different hormonal influence, and that directly influences your immune function. Because if you cannot sleep, if you cannot properly rest and digest, if your hormones are always up, especially adrenaline and cortisol, which are hormones of stress, there's no way for you to go back in phase two. And this is where our immune system is being impacted. And this is where you are now a really good candidate to collect and to create an illness or disease. And the body cannot deal with the stresses anymore. And it cannot do this exchange between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And like I said, your body is continuing to release those stress hormones, and this prolonged exposure to those stress hormones is leading to dysregulation of your system, which creates chronic fatigue, insomnia, cravings, weight gain, diseases, different diseases, and at the end, cancer. So you see, when our body system is not working properly, when there's no that phase one, phase two exchange, when you skip the phase two where you need to rest and digest and process whatever happened to you, when you're in this stage three for a really long time, then everything starts to crumble down. And the other aspect that I wanted to talk about are emotions and the mind. And we have five main senses. You know what those are, right? And we are emotion beings. We process everything through emotions. That's who we are. And that's how we perceive things around us. But if you see it from a perspective of a brain, it means that your brain logs it into its recording, which means every time when something happens to you, you can imagine it as a tape, is that your brain is logging that on another tape and it's storing that. And once it is logged, it is triggered in a similar situation, right? So for example, for me, when I had my car accident, it was logged on a specific tape. And every time when we were in a similar surrounding, that story would be triggered. And all those similar experiences, senses, emotions, beliefs, everything that was being triggered that day, or kept creating this bubble, this pattern of every time when I will be in a similar situation, my body will react the same. That was the story that my brain was playing. And after you experience it a couple of times and I didn't process it, you create your reality. Your body is in phase three, even when you're not in a situation where you need to fight and flight. And as you can see on this graphic, if the exchange in the system is being broken, then your body and your mind are suffering, right? It's not only the body, it's your mind as well, where you keep repeating that story, where you keep, when you keep reinforcing whatever happened to you, you keep expecting it and you keep re-traumatizing yourself. It's just, it's a natural way of how we process things. And when the exchange is being broken, that's where we are stuck, and that's where those autoimmune and chronic conditions are being developed. And if you remember, a couple of minutes ago, I talked about how I created the research, but when I was creating the research, they needed to submit a form, a Google form, where they wrote a couple of things that I was interested in terms of my research. And one of the things that I was asking them is what is it that you believe about your condition? Like, why are you experiencing these challenges? And what you see on my screen are the most common ones they had. I am not worthy enough. I don't deserve it. It's not safe. It is generational. It is coming from my family. I needed to protect myself. It doesn't belong to me. I cannot let it go. This is part of my identity. No one cares. No one understands. My core childhood needs were unmet. And like I said, maybe the most important part, having this emotional and physical pain is my identity. And when you are experiencing this as your identity, that means that this is who you are. And it's really, really hard to let go of something of who you are, or something that was, placed on you, that this is the person that you are. I know because I've been there. So if we think about how MAP can help release the emotional and physical pain, because remember, everything starts with the emotional pain, is that MAP is really, really good in healing and neutralizing any traumas from conception until now. And it can also help you neutralize ancestral and generation traumas. It can also help you neutralize unmet childhood core needs. And MAP is teaching your parts how to heal their disempowering and protective identities so they can choose another more supportive one. Every time when something emotional happens to us, something that is deeply traumatizing, there's a part of us who creates a story and keeps playing it every single time. And we can teach those parts to let go of that pain and take another more supportive identity. Maybe the most triggering part for some people would be that MAP can teach you how to take the responsibility where you are, so you can create something more consciously. And if you don't mind, I just want to share a couple of stories that some of the participants shared, either being in the research or in the program. And who knows, maybe next time when I'm sharing these stories, your story will be here as well. This is my wonderful and beautiful client, Hannah, that reached out to me in 2020, and she was diagnosed with a small fiber sensory neuropathy, which is a neurological disorder that I did not know anything about. But she shared a lot of information with me. I Googled it, I researched it, and prognosis were not good. As you can see, doctors said to her that it is irreversible and progressive. And for her, the worst part was that her brother and father died from the same condition. Nerves in the body are simply dying, especially in the extremities, in your lungs, and you end up suffocating yourself. And there's a lot of amputation that people suffer with this diagnosis. And she simply didn't find any solution. She was taking more than 30 pills per day. And when she reached out to me, she was already in wheelchairs and she couldn't even wear socks or shoes. And she's living in Chicago, right? So you can imagine what kind of winter she was experiencing. I didn't know what to do and I couldn't, promise anything. So I created a customized subliminal for her based on her experience. And I simply asked her subconscious to deal with everything that she experienced through her life. And she started her subliminal in October 2020. And this is Hannah, 45 days after I sent her that recording. So Hannah, I'm always emotional when I'm speaking and sharing this story because it's a miracle, and you can see her and watch her video on her website where she's sharing her journey that in only 45 days she started to walk again. No pain, wearing socks and shoes and skiing and enjoying with her grandsons. As you can see on the picture, she just continued to listen her subliminal every single day, and she wrote, "My progress has not been nothing short of miraculous." And she sent it to me like a couple of days before the Christmas, and for me that was the best present ever. And only taking one pill per day, she's finally able to ski, to have fun, as you can see on the picture. And she's now writing a book about her journey, and she wants to inspire others as well. Another story I wanted to share, because there was a lot of you who shared in the forum that you were struggling with fibromyalgia, with different thyroid issues and rashes and pains and all of it. So Debbie, my friend, was one of those people who inspired me to do research. And I didn't know how to help her. I wanted to help her, but I didn't know. But it's her fault that I'm here today sharing, because without her request, I don't think I would ever remember to do something like this. So when she joined the research, she was a mother of two young girls, but she was suffering a lot with rashes and joint and muscle pain, fatigue. She was losing her hair. She was having a lot of spasms and tremors and tightness. And when I was asking her, like, what is it that you believe about this experience? Why you are having this and nothing is helping? She said, it is incurable. It will always be like this because it runs in my family and even my children will get it. And I did it myself and I will never heal. And I expect nothing from this research. And if you ask me, those people are my favorite ones, who are open to do the work, but they don't expect anything, because that's where the miracle happens. And this is what happened to Debbie after 30 days in research. No rashes, no spasms, no cysts in her fingers were completely gone. There was a question in the form like, an average number on the intensity of your pain and symptoms and everything from 0 to 10, 10 being the highest, how would you label it? She started that it was 8.5, even though it was mostly almost a 10. And then after 30 days, she was stable at 2. After 30 days. And her story is also available in a video format. There are a couple of them because I wanted to do like 30 days and then 6 months and then a year and then see what happened. But since we did this research in 2020, skeptical as I am, because never enough proof, right? I asked Debbie recently what is happening in her life. And this is what she shared this year with me, that she continued to hold the same improved health status. Her function with thyroid remains the same, no new or returning symptoms. She's no longer identifying herself as a person being sick. She's enjoying life. She is finally taking care of herself, and she is simply a completely different person. And later on, when I share with you an email, you will receive an email on this page and all those video testimonials that you can watch. You'll see some of the amazing stories. My friend Alejandro, after one session that was completely not related to any body condition, it was actually about his father. His eczema and psoriasis were completely gone. Or my friend Marielle, all of them are my friends because I feel such a deep connection with them. Finally, after 10 years, started to walk without a cane. Imagine that. Like, imagine if every morning you wake up in pain and you need to use your cane, and then all of a sudden, no, you don't have to use it. Another story I wanted to share, and I feel like all those stories are so important, and if I had some time, I would share all of them, but I needed to choose. My friend Annie, and if you are part of the certification program, then you know who Annie is. Annie is one of our MAP trainers and coaches. She's also a psychotherapist from France, and she's a huge friend of mine. And she bought herself the body program for Christmas. Annie has been suffering with the rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia. She had diabetes too, and all of it was diagnosed in a period of 25 years. And she was really having difficulties in walking and standing up for a really long time. I know that when we would have a meeting, like an hour, 2 hour meeting with trainers, she would need to walk around. And it was really hard for her to go upstairs. She was not sleeping upstairs anymore because it was simply too painful. And because it was easier for her to take some takeout food or cook something that's really fast. She started to gain weight. She spent years with sleeping disorders and taking sleeping pills for more than 10 years. And she was experiencing a lot of brain fog as well. But this is what happened to Annie after just a couple of months. Annie is no longer taking sleeping pills and she's having complete nights of rest most of the time. She's not taking any painkillers. She's able to walk normally. She can go up and down the stairs without holding onto anything. She's working longer hours. She recently launched the certification program in French, and I met her last summer. She was here with her husband. They went from France in car. She was the one driving from France, I believe, all the way down to Croatia to visit me and to walk around and have fun. Imagine that. And the most interesting part was, if you remember, I told you at the beginning that the body program inspired me to do research on releasing emotional and physical weight. Annie joined it as well, and she joined the program that I launched in March this year. In less than 6 months, Annie lost about 40 pounds, which is about 18, 19 kilograms. I'm not sure. Imagine that. Imagine that. And I know that some of you put in your form that you're struggling with releasing weight. And if you want, I can include the preview link for the weight program as well, so you can test it out for free. Just let me know. Another story, Allison, is a miracle story, not only because of the body miracle. It's reversed. Sometimes I'm speechless and it's hard for me to translate my Croatian to English. But she was also suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease. She was having issues with her thyroid. She was experiencing issues with her sexual hormones as well. But she was also diagnosed with CPTSD and bipolar 2 disorder, which I was not aware of. I only learned about that later on when we talked about. So as you can imagine, a lot of chronic pain, not sleeping well, brain fog and poor balance, dropping things constantly. But because of her CPTSD and bipolar disorder, she spent more than 30 years in therapy. And one of the psychiatrists that she was seeing, as you can see on the page, it says that her conditions are permanent and will remain permanent and they're severe. And they told her that she will never ever be a functional human being in a society. And that's how she lived for more than 30 years. But when we met, after a couple of months being in the program, she shared with me how severe that was. And she was taking a lot of antipsychotics, a lot of antidepressants, a lot of medications. And on the right side, you can see some of the admissions to the psychiatry clinic because she was suicidal. She tried to take her life a couple of times because she simply didn't see any hope. And the worst part was that when she was 17 years old, her psychiatrist sexually abused her. So the person who was supposed to help her was abusing her. And that left a huge impact on her, as you can imagine. And this is her picture in 2018 when she put her psychiatrist on court with other of his clients as well. and they won. He ended up, I think, 20 years under behind bars, but you can see how she looks in 2018, right? And after 6 months being in a program, her emotional and physical health has completely improved. She's now living from a space of joy and love, and she's finally in control of her emotions. Her memory is back. She's sleeping better. She's not taking any medications anymore. She recently had her last visit at a psychiatry, and he said, whatever you're doing, please continue to do, because she's living a completely different life. She's changed her work. She's now caretaker. She is finally, for the first time in 50 years, she is in a love relationship with the love of her life. And if you can see her quote below, she says, I spent more than 30 years seeing different specialists and psychiatrists using medications as prescribed to heal my traumas, except from one therapist who gave me hope. They all gave up on me. And that was basically my story since I was 17, so more than 30 years. I didn't want it to be my story anymore. 6 months of the Body Says Yes program and MAP helped me more than those years. And you can see a couple of her stories on our website as well, which is a really, really, really miracle story. But like I said at the beginning, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, and any of my programs are not intended to heal, to diagnose, or to replace any kind of medication or therapy. But this is what happens when you release traumas. And my last story for today, I promise, if you allow me, and if you are going to be kind to hold space for me, because it's really hard. I'm getting emotional now. It's my story. And I never get to tell my story because I feel like it's not important, right? I feel like, I'm selling you a program and then I'll sell you myself. But how can I understand what you're going through if I don't tell you, if I don't show you what I've been through? So if you remember at the beginning of the on my workshop, I told you how I ended up in MAP, having a car accident and being semi-paralyzed and bedridden. And then MAP helped me, and I finally healed. I started to live my life. I started to work for the Institute. I got certified. I had an amazing client base. I was doing all these miracle things. And then in summer of 2021, something started to happen within my body. But I ignored it because I was too busy. I had different things that I need to take care of, working for the Institute. I'm married. We have a dog. My mom was sick. She lost her leg. Like all those other things are priority besides yourself. And unfortunately, my mom ended up in a hospital in January 2022 in the middle of COVID. And if you experience anything regarding COVID, then you remember how traumatizing it was for people either being vaccinated or not, or what was actually happening in the medical system during COVID and how much care they actually received. And seeing my mom, who was my rock, who was a person that I admired the most in my life, being so fragile and bedridden, she couldn't move, she couldn't speak, she couldn't eat herself, triggered a lot of my medical traumas. Everything that I experienced when I was sick and everything that I was being told after the car accident. And my mom was in a hospital for 2.5 months, if I remember correctly. And for months, I was living in a flight and fight state. I couldn't sleep because every sound was waking me up because I thought there was a message from my father or from my brothers that something's happening with mom. I was overstimulated and overloaded with everything. And now when I go back, I don't even know how I function. I really don't know how I worked. And I had chronic fatigue. I couldn't get up in the morning. I could sleep like 10, 12 hours per day. I would still wake up super exhausted. My hormonal system went completely off. I was in a complete hormonal disbalance. I had issues with my thyroid. I had high cortisol. My mineral and vitamin levels were really down. I was diagnosed with insulin resistance, and the worst part for a newlyweds, we were diagnosed with infertility. In less than a year, I gained about 40 kilograms, and I ended up on metformin and Saxenda. Maybe you heard about it. It helps your insulin to be stable and your pancreas to work properly. But the worst part, I guess, was that I had zero boundaries, and I was not taking care of myself. I was literally surviving. And if you're a coach or therapist or healer and you work with people, then you know how I felt, what kind of imposter syndrome I had. So remember, this was already when I launched the body program, right? The program that is helping people to heal emotions and traumas that are related to the body. And I was stuck in this place, and something needed to change. My mother unfortunately died, and that was a huge, huge trigger for me because I could see some of the patterns that I developed and some of the patterns that I picked up from my mom. And I didn't want to live or end up like that. She died in her 60s in a hospital, and I didn't want that to be my story anymore. So I hired a nutritionist. She sent me to do some of the tests. She created a list of supplements that I needed to take, in terms of vitamins and minerals and stuff. I started to feel better. I learned a lot about the connection between food, emotions, and everything. And that was just in the middle of my research about our emotional and physical weight. But I still felt like I was wired 24/7. My nervous system just needed a break. Everything was super stimulated for me. Like when I would be under stress, if my husband would touch me and try to hug me, my whole body was buzzing, and I couldn't stop it. Whatever I was taking and doing, I couldn't stop it. So I started to listen to body subliminal again. Remember the ones that I created for my people in the research. And the first subliminal in the program is about accepting who you are and accepting yourself. And when you create a certain identity, it is really hard to let go of that. So that's what I did with subliminals. I simply started to work on accepting myself and who I am. And like I said, in the middle of it, I was so inspired with my journey that I created the research for the emotional physical weight. So I was going through the research at the same pacing at the same time with other participants. And even with those improvements, even with working and on myself, I was being told that I would never conceive naturally or even with the help of expensive treatments. And that was really, really hard for me to take. And for my husband, we love each other really deeply and we wanted to have a child, but simply it was not happening for more than 2 years. But I didn't believe them. My intuition, my whole being was telling me that's not your story and you can change it. So I did. And I focused on the holistic approach. I started to choose good food. I started to work on my triggers immediately instead of putting them on the side and letting them to bubble. I started to take supplements that I needed. I was using herbs. I went back to my roots. I started to meditate again, journal, and I was using obviously MAP for everything that I needed to release. And again, just want to remind you that this is my story and my decision. I stopped with all medications. I simply didn't resonate with everything that I was putting in my body. My body was literally screaming, I cannot take it anymore. So I stopped with all the medications. In the meantime, I released about 30 kilograms. My insulin resistance was gone. My cortisol, all the glands, thyroid hormones went back in balance. My nervous system calmed down. I processed everything that I needed to process. I learned a lot about self-care and boundaries. And not only that, since my fatigue was gone and my energy was up, that I didn't even know what to do with it, I went back to the university to finish my master's degree in psychology. And if it means anything to you, my average grade is 9.4 out of 10. And I'm living now a completely different life, intentional and present life with healthy boundaries, with knowing what I want and how I want it and how I'm going to get it, knowing when I need to stop and relax and when to say no. And this is my picture that I took a few weeks ago. This is me at the beginning of my 8 months of pregnancy, and I'm getting emotional. The best pregnancy that I could even imagine. No morning sickness, no nausea, no issues at all. I've been working full time ever since from the beginning. I'm still working full time, as you can see. My all tests are perfect. I did a test a couple of days ago. My glucose is fine. My insulin is fine. Thyroid is fine. All the vitamin and minerals are fine. And there you go. And I've been told that it will never ever happen. And we are so grateful. And I'm so happy, um, that you were holding space for me to share my story. And I apologize for being emotional. And the reason why I wanted to share this story with you is not to give you those, lines that you usually have. If I did it, you can do it too. I want to inspire you with my story and all the other stories that I show you today and all the other stories you'll see on the website that it is doable. You can do it. You can do it. You just need to focus on what is important and you need to take the responsibility for your life. And thank you so much for your beautiful comments in the chat. I really appreciate it. And if you don't mind, we're just going to take a 5-minute break for the group session. And you can just either find a quiet place for yourself. You can use headphones. You don't have to. You can, take a blanket, or if you want, that will bring you comfort. If you like journaling, you can, take a piece of paper or whatever to journal, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes and we will start with the session. Talk to you soon. And I might go over the chat to see if you have any questions before we do that. There's a lot of comments doing the, let me just check if I missed something. And yes, recording will be available for everyone after the workshop is done and after the recording is done. We will be sending it to everyone. Question: can Yelena define subliminal in this case? Is it Yelena talking and doing music? Yes. So I created a session, a map session, and then I hid it below a sound of beach or rain or whatever. So they couldn't consciously hear me, but their subconscious could hear it. And thank you to my wonderful admin for helping today. Yeah. Yes, I will send everyone a link to Test the Way program as well if you want. I'm so happy that these stories are providing a lot of hope. That's really wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, imposter syndrome is really, really big. It's really big for a lot of us, but not everyone talks about it. Thank you, everyone. Someone is asking, does it need to be a subliminal? Can it be just a regular recording? You will have access to the subliminals and regular recording. Subliminals are faster because you're able to put more information in less time than in one-on-one. In my subliminals, there's a replacement about 4 to 5 sessions in one subliminal. So you can imagine how strong that is in about 30 minutes. Well, it depends what is in a subliminal. Some people have issues sleeping, and some of them, it's actually helpful for them to fall asleep. And then you can just test it out, how it works for you. You can just listen to it during the day while you're doing something else. Oh, Pamela, that's really interesting. You can maybe share my email with them. That's the easiest. No, it's not the same as like hypnosis. You'll experience it a little bit later. Um, like I said, I'm not a therapist, but we did have a couple of clients with schizophrenia, and in combination with medications and therapy, MAP is working really well with them. No, no hypnosis is being used in anything that we do, at least what I do. Okay. How do I handle resistance from clients who feel they need to know specifically what is being said in the recording? Well, that's my specialty. Okay, so let's start with the session if you don't mind, and then after the session we will start. I'll answer your questions. So if I can just ask you, and you might notice that my voice goes a little bit slower and quieter during the session. So try to maybe focus on how you feel versus understanding what I'm saying. Okay. But before we start with that, some of you never experienced the session. So I'm just going to play a 5-minute video for the brain training. And if you already experienced MAP, you can just use that time to go back into yourself and to explore what you want to work on today. And then we will start. You will just confirm me that you can hear my video in the chat, and then we will continue.
In this first drawing, you see an iceberg. We're using it as a metaphor representing the conscious and unconscious mind. Notice that the unconscious mind is under the water, and it's also many times larger than the conscious mind. You can see ice fragments in the iceberg. In our metaphor, these fragments represent different aspects of your personality or different parts of you. Perhaps there's an aspect of you that desires success, and another part of you that's afraid of success. These different aspects of our personality can create inner conflict and keep us stuck. Now, we've added the superconscious mind, an aspect of consciousness that can neutralize stressful or painful memories and beliefs on instruction. Now, in this drawing, you see a timeline from conception until now. Your superconscious mind has been present since conception and has learned the same language as you and those around you speak. This allows us to communicate easily using everyday language. However, since this aspect of consciousness learns language without any sensory experience or emotion attached to it, it's not affected or harmed by stressful or painful experiences. There's 3 types of memory. Memory 1 develops while the fetus is still in the womb. This memory consists of simple neurostructures or basic connections that are being created at that time. Memory 2 begins to develop a little bit before birth and keeps developing until the age of 4. Healthy and unhealthy core traits of the personality are formed in this memory. These traits are learned from our parents, siblings, and other influential people in our life. Memory 3 starts to develop shortly before birth and continues until now. We start learning in the womb and continue learning all of our lives. Memories that are used to create the main personality are selected from memory 3. And learning is, in fact, the creation of memories. A collage of learned memories runs our emotions, behaviors, and our thoughts. Now let's have a closer look at memory 3. Memory 3 contains active memories and dormant memories. Active memories are used to create our perception, our behavior, and our thoughts. They dictate how we interpret and react to the world around us. Dormant or inactive memories are all the memories you have when you're not thinking about them. Most memories you have are dormant. Now let me give you an example of a dormant memory. I'm going to ask you a question. Notice that since I didn't ask you the question, you don't know what the answer is. In other words, the answer or dormant memory was not triggered. Now, how about if I ask you, when was the last time you rode your bike? Notice that you start to scan memory 3 and the answer gets triggered into your awareness by the question. So you can see that when we trigger a dormant memory, it pops into our active experience. Dormant memories can be awakened or triggered into activity by what we see, hear, feel, taste, smell, perceive, and by other basic needs, such as hunger, love, and safety. This is important to know because sometimes we have to wake up or activate dormant memories for the superconscious mind to neutralize the stress attached to the memory. The superconscious cannot see or treat dormant memories if there's not at least a small amount in the active experience. Now, please note the dividing line, which is being labeled the dissociation process. It's the line between the conscious and the unconscious mind. Its job is to dissociate information that's not needed in the conscious mind by moving it into the unconscious mind. It remains available, so it's still active and contributing to the creation of behaviors, but it's no longer conscious. Some dissociated behaviors are skills, like driving, for example. After driving for a while, you're not aware of your movements and decisions. It's an unconscious competence and you're on automatic. So the dissociation process helps simplify the content and emotion of our conscious mind, allowing us to be better focused and more effective in our lives. Next, the association process is found at the border of the iceberg as seen here. When there's a situation calling for a new behavior or response, it's the association process that allows only the most fitting memories to be triggered into the active experience. If it lets memories in too easily, we might find ourselves distracted by irrelevant thoughts or having a hard time focusing on a task. The superconscious mind can fine-tune the association process to help keep you focused on your goals. In order to neutralize stressful or painful memories, we simply activate a memory or event associated with it and instruct the superconscious mind to neutralize the emotion at a rate that's safe and comfortable, neutralizing some emotion, and then letting the system settle before neutralizing some more. This is how the superconscious mind will do it, so the results are gentle, fast, safe, and long-lasting. You've now completed part 1 of the MAP method brain training.
So now is the time for us to focus on the theme of the session, and my suggestion for today is not having control over my body or my conditions. And if you have something else in mind that got triggered during today's session, you can also focus on that. It's up to you. And before we start, if it feels good and comfortable, just want to invite the whole group, either you being live here or listening, to close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. And if it's easy for you and if you resonate with it, you can imagine a group standing together. We'll do this together. And as you breathe in and as you breathe out, you can just focus on the top of your head. Scan your entire body until you can notice your feet and your toes. And as you continue to breathe and as you think about what is present for you, when you think about not having control over your body or your conditions, you might want to ask yourself what would be something that you would like to release and let go of. Are there any patterns or behaviors that do not serve you anymore? And as you continue to explore that and create the intention for today, with your permission, I would like to open this session for you. And superconscious, before we start with today's session, please put all of the parts in line so we can treat them one by one. Subconscious, please use the awakening script so all of the parts get to be informed about the treatment process. In this or any other lifetime, any other parallel life or generation. And when you have the knowledge and understanding on how to treat a painful emotional memory, please tag and treat all of the parts and memory structures that want treatment that you tagged from the last session until now. Slowly, safely, and with total respect. And I want to invite you to explore what comes up for you when you think about not having control over your body or your conditions. What kind of emotional response you recognize and how does it feel in your body? Your subconscious, please fully treat this experience. And then please treat all of the triggered parts, predispositions, beliefs, emotions, and everything else that is coming into the active experience right now. Subconscious, please continue to treat all of the associations in the past, present, and future. And then do a massive change, history, and everything after that. And just continue to breathe and allow yourself to experience whatever's being present. And let's move forward. And you can maybe think about when was the last time you felt like you were not having control over your body and your conditions. And if it's easy for you, you can play this experience in your mind from the beginning, like the end, like a story, like a movie. And subconscious, please fully treat this experience from the beginning to the end. And then treat all of the emotional and content memories associated with into it. Whenever appropriate, please replace all of the treated memories with positive, self-empowering beliefs, emotions, and experiences. And then do a massive change, history, and everything after that. And let's go even deeper. And you might want to explore, have you tried other methods in the past? And if so, what were the outcomes and how do you feel about that? And subconscious, please fully treat this experience. And then please treat all of the broken agreements, unfinished communication, any unaligned intention, conflict, judgment, resentment, all of the projections and assumptions. Keep on treating all of the agreements and decisions, and whenever appropriate, do massive change history and everything after that. Let's go even deeper. What is it that you believe about your autoimmune and chronic conditions? And besides feeling like you don't have control, what else do you feel? And what do you think? Why are you experiencing this? Do you blame anyone? And superconscious, please fully treat this experience. And then please treat the most dominant belief and disempower it until it's false. And just please treat the structure of associations on all alike beliefs and memories. Subconscious, please keep on treating all of the circumstances and people involved in this process. Whenever appropriate, replace all of the treated memories with positive, self-empowering beliefs, emotions, and experiences. And then do a massive change, history, and everything after that. And just keep on breathing and allow yourself to experience whatever is coming up. Recognize those emotions, those thoughts. Allow your body to breathe. And subconscious, before we move forward, please copy the memories and diagnose what's blocking the treatment and communication process. Once you resolve that, please treat all of the barriers and then do a massive change, history, and everything after that. Superconscious, please run the thematic structure procedure. And when the structures fall apart, please tag and treat each fragment and replace it with positive, self-empowering beliefs, emotions, and experiences. So you can do a massive change, history, and everything after that. And if you think about not having control over your body and your conditions, what do you want to create instead? If you could choose and if someone could give you a tool to change the narrative, what do you want to create? And if you were to release all of this, what would that give you? And how would your life change, and what kind of people and possibilities you would invite into your life? And how would that make you feel? And subconscious, please fully treat this experience. Please treat all of the fears and doubts, all of the heart memories, and replace them with love and peace. Keep asking yourself, what is it that I want to create? And what would that give me? Is that a sense of control? Is that empowerment that you can change your story? Is it maybe hope? What is it? What is it that you want to experience? And subconscious, please treat any resistance, any projections, assumptions, any judgments and negative emotions or parts which may have become active in the active experience that are not in the alignment with this desired creation. Subconscious, please organize any disorganized thoughts and create a blueprint of all the necessary steps to complete this creation. And then please treat any resistance or blocks associated with each step in the most perfect order so you can do a massive change, history, and everything after that. And for this last round, you can think about everything you experienced during today's session, all those emotions and insights, and all the memories about not having control over your body. And then think about everything you want to create instead, and what would that give you? And superconscious, please put all of the fragile, resistant, and young parts into the observing mode for them to decide when and how to join us today. Whenever they feel ready to communicate and join the treatment team, please treat all the parts in the most perfect order with all respect, and then reinforce their positive copying behaviors before joining them in the main personality. Whenever appropriate, do a massive change history and everything after that. And superconscious, one more time, please fully treat this experience. Treat any conflict or any mismatch in between not having control over my body and my conditions and all the heart's desires. Treat all of the parts, predispositions, fields, and structures, and if needed, disassociate them from the main personality. So we're going to just continue to treat all of the beliefs, emotions, experiences, all of the chakras and meridians, and then do a massive change, history, and everything after that. And before we wrap our session, you might want to think about everyone in this group today and everyone who will listen to the recording. And if it's easy for you, you can just imagine us creating a circle. And as you do that, you can just open your heart and offer everything that you have for them. And if you are on the receiving end, you can also decide what you want to receive. And superconscious, please treat this creation, this circle. And then please tag all the beliefs, memories, experiences, and parts that become active in the active experience while we as a group visualize this circle of love and support. And then I want you to treat the tagged memories in the most perfect order. And then do a massive change, history, and everything after that. Conscious, please continue to repeat this procedure until the main personality gets a feeling of peaceful completion. Thank you. Superconscious, whenever you're ready, please run end of the session procedure. And once it is complete, do a massive change, history, and everything after that. And take a nice deep breath. And as you breathe in and as you breathe out, notice where you are in space and time. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes and come back to. Thank you. And I'm just wondering how everyone feels, if you want to share in the chat any insights you might have. Very angelic feeling. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, isn't it wonderful when you have more than 100 people sharing this love and positivity? I really love that. Wonderful. Wonderful. This is what we did in about 20 minutes. It was just a short group session. And you will have a chance to experience more in the program. Oh, wow, that's wonderful, Susan. Wonderful. That's beautiful. I'm just going to briefly share of what's going to happen next. You're welcome. And then if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. So this is what's going to happen next. I need a nap. Wonderful. Thank you. Um, After this recording is being done and uploaded, you will receive an email that will give you the opportunity to rewatch the recording if you miss something. And you will also have a chance to test the program for free for the next 7 days. And just be mindful that you can sign up only once, because if you do that more than once, system will automatically remove access from your library. You will get a chance to test the subliminal on acceptance of yourself and your condition, and some of the conscious sessions where you can hear my voice, such as nothing ever works for me, where feeling stuck and cannot move forward. Do I want to heal? And what would be the benefit of not healing? Some of the ancestral and financial sessions as well. So you'll see, you'll take a look. So in about an hour or two, you will get an email that gives you a chance to experience map maybe in more depth on your own pacing. Yeah, stories, really old stories. That's how map works. It triggers a lot of stuff. For me, too many thoughts on why I don't trust people. Yeah, yeah. You will. If you don't feel settled at the moment, you can always, like I said, um, you will get an email that gives you the chance to test the program, and then you can do another session or repeat this one, whatever you prefer, to ease up and make sure that you ground yourself after today's session. That's really important. And I'm wondering if there's any question that I didn't maybe answer or didn't have a chance to answer. And there's my email on the screen. If you want to reach out to me privately, just be mindful there's about 500 people who sign up, so it might take me a little bit of time to answer. And I'm also in Europe, which is about 8 p.m. my time. But I'll answer as soon as possible. Yeah, my little one is pretty happy and bouncing. She was kicking from the inside during the whole workshop. Well, this program of any discount if you already are part of the MAP coaching program. You know what? This is something special that I'm doing because I'm not sure when I will be back. My due is in about months and a half, so I'm not sure when I will launch the program again. So everyone, no matter if you're in the coaching program or not, will get a chance to use either 50 or 60% depending on the offer. Everyone. Are you the same practitioner that created the research for the weight release? Yes, I am. and I will put a link at the end of the email if you wanna test that program as well. Yeah, new baby, first baby coming out. Yeah, yeah. I'm really blessed. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions before I let you go? I promised hour and a half, but we stayed a little bit longer. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all the love today. And I apologize for being emotional, or if my wordings were not clear or something during the workshop. Maybe it didn't work. I did my best. But like I said, if you have any questions or you need me to clarify something, my email is on the screen. It's simple. It's just Yelena Monkey, momcoachinginstitute.com. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nick. The price depends on what you choose. There are a couple of different options. There's going to be a customer subliminal available for a really short period of time. There's a basic version of the program, premium version of the program, but I also prepared a special bundle because sometimes people like to combine a couple of different programs. So it depends what you choose. Oh my God, Dion, that's so wonderful. Just doing this session, the tingling in your legs is gone. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll let you go. Thank you so much, everyone who joined. You pretty soon, after 7 days, an email will be sent to you, and you will be able to see what I'm offering and the prices and the discount and the table of contents. Everything will be on that page. For now, I just wanted to be open and test the program without any distractions. Remember, you can only sign up once and use that. It doesn't cost you anything. There's no credit card involved. You don't have to subscribe to anything. I might email you during the preview just to see how you're doing and maybe give you some new insights, but just test it out. Do that for yourself. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, wonderful people. Thank you to my admin for providing space for you. If you have any questions, remember you can either connect to support or me directly. I'll send my email in the follow-up email with the workshop recording and how to test the program. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you for all the blessings and love. I wish you a wonderful rest of the day wherever you are. Take care of yourself and just remember you're not broken and you can heal. Love to you all, and bye for now.